is your budget, the cost of living at that particular city that the university is located, and then your goals. This is one particular thing that students check only after they've gotten admission. And it's actually very, very important that you do check that particular requirement. Can you all hear me? I think I was getting feedback again.
No, 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 no. We can hear you clearly.
Okay, perfect. Yes. So the one major thing that you have to check out is ensuring that the city that you're moving to, the cost of living there, and then the budget that you have meets that particular city, not just the university, not the name of the university. All of that is important, but then this is much more important because just imagine moving into a city if you're a student and then your goal is you want to move into a city where you can find a student job, and then you move to a city where you actually cannot find that particular student job. It becomes a bit problematic because you are the university you want to, you are studying the program that you want, but then you're not able to actually manage that of the cost of living because some way, somehow, you are intending to be able to work. So that is something that we want to put out there, that right at the beginning, when you're researching the program and everything, that is one thing that you also have to look at as something core that you have to look at. Some students also, not necessarily during the period that they are studying, but then after they are done studying, they want to find opportunities. Obviously, you don't necessarily have to find opportunity just in the city that you studied. And you can find opportunities everywhere in Italy and then even outside of Italy. But then that is one thing that actually really guides you as well at the initial stage when you are going through that of the university you want to study at and everything. But then generally, one will ask, okay, with the popular destinations like the US, that of the UK, and that of Canada, why should I consider going to study in Italy at all? Why? This question is very, very important. It gives you perspective. It gives you the reason why you need to consider coming to study in Italy. It helps you to make a decision not based on the buzz, because as of now, you can see so many students are considering studying in Italy and everything. So you'll be like, oh, okay, let me just go. Let me also follow that of the buzz and then just. But then when you have a concrete reason why you want to go and study in Italy, it helps you to stay firm. It helps you once you get into the country, even if when situations or things are different. Because let me be honest with you, the educational system in Africa is completely different from here, the system that we have here in Italy. In Africa, if you miss an exams, that is it. We have a system here in Italy that when you write the exams and then you don't like your grades, you can refuse that grade and then resit and sit that exams. In Africa, we have a situation where when you resit exams, the that of the grade, if you an example in Ghana, if you got that of an A, or let's say if you got that of a C plus or something, or B in the first exams, if you should resit for a particular exams, and then you should get that of an A, it's almost equivalent to the first sitting. But in this situation is different here. You can write the second time, and then the grade is as valid as what you wrote the first time. So these are some differences, and then obviously that of the demand with the lessons, your studies and everything are also completely different. So when you have the right goal and then you know the reason why you are moving to study in Italy, it helps you stay firm. You are not moved when you come and then the it's taxing because it truly is tasking you. It's a quality education, not for the fact that it's just affordable, but then it's quality. So it's very, very important that you have the main reason why you're coming to study here. So why should you consider studying in Italy? One, Italy offers both national and international students access to quality and affordable higher education. The affordability is not only for students, nationals, but then for everyone. The program I'm currently on, I just paid 156 euros for the program that I'm studying. It's not only for nationals, but then for generally for everyone, as long as you meet that of the requirements, you are able to present that of the documents that help the university to calculate your tuition fee based on your economic condition. We're going to talk more about that later. And then Italy is also one of the countries in Europe that offers international students several scholarships. There are several scholarships here in Italy that helps to reduce the burden, the financial burden of studying here. Third, Italian universities and qualifications are recognized worldwide. So you don't finish your studies here and then struggle with recognition or conversion if you intend to go and study anywhere else in the world. Okay. Then studying in Italy offers you a moderately affordable cost of living compared to other destinations. Okay, that is one thing that you need to know. Then studying here offers you that of a unique cultural experience and an access to different European countries, and then also that of opportunities. So once you study here, you graduate. When you find opportunities anywhere else, you can take advantage of that. Okay, so that is something that is very important, and that's something that differentiates this particular destination to other destinations in Europe. So if you are asking yourself, okay, why should I even consider Italy? This is some of the reasons why you should consider Italy. There is a clear path to PR. So you are well aware that, okay, this is it. When I enter into the system, this is the journey to PR. It's much more clearly to navigate that particular process. So obviously, outside of just that of the opportunities with studying and everything, one other core thing has to do with the opportunities you can find once you're in a system. You can be able to explore other opportunities in the Schengen area. Some are able to travel to other places. Some are able to also take advantage of the study opportunities and the work opportunities in other areas in the Schengen area. So that is something to help you understand what opportunities this particular destination offers. Bridget, is there anything you would like to add before we move to the next stage in the application process?
No, I think with the application process, what we can do is we save the answers for the questions. So it's a good rundown. Then we can just go in and present who we are and what we do and why they should work with us, I guess.
Yeah.
We can move on to that. I'm just
Yes.
going to share my screen. I have a very, sorry. It should be this one. Okay. Let's make it a full screen. Okay. So, Anita has given you a rundown on the application process and what is required from your end. And yeah, what is required from your end, as well as your preparations for the study in Italy journey. So I'm just going to quickly run through this. So we are Admiral Edu Consult. I'm one of the co-founders alongside Anita, and we have also some of our team members part of this meeting who are going to answer your questions from time to time for visa processes, for application processes, as well. We have consultants who are ready to answer your questions. So make sure that you share the event with this webinar with others who are interested in participating in the studying in Italy, or who are just generally interested in studying in Italy as well. So you might have come across who Admiral Edu Consult is. So we are basically a consultancy that is really just focused on ensuring that African students in particular have access to affordable study opportunities in Italian universities as at now. So because this is a study in Italy webinar, we're going to focus on Italy. Yeah, so we want you to enjoy the access to quality education, because we strongly believe that education is a key to success. And we are basically a dynamic and results-driven educational consultancy. We are from Africa. Some of us are from Africa. So we have you in mind when we conduct our business, and we have curated specific services that cater to the needs of the students that we are currently working with and plan to work with. Our core values are integrity. We are very transparent in how we deal with the processes. I'll give you an example. Working with us, the students who have worked with us in the past can attest to this, that we are very transparent in how we give out information in terms of like which schools that we are applying for, what is the process we are at. So you are well informed, and and this is one reason why you should actually choose to work with us, because what sets us apart is that when you work with us, we will keep you informed through the process, from the consultation part to the university profiling, then as well as the application processes. We'll give you the pros, the cons, and do the admission for you. And after you get your admission, we're still there, even when you arrive in Italy, to help you transition into the system. So our core value is really integrity, excellency, and we are really student-centered in our dealings. We also have collaborations with various universities and stakeholders, ensuring that our student gets the best. So currently we are operating in Italy, and the reason why we started this agency, aside from the fact that we want to ensure that African students have access to quality education, is also it's not only to help you have access to quality education, but to also help you gain exposure to different things, even when you come to Italy. And we understand that studying abroad, or moving the process of studying abroad from the application process up until the admission, the visas and whatnot, it can be a bit overwhelming. But working with us can simplify the process for you. Okay. So our main focuses are really on from the bachelor's level to the PhD level. And here in Italy, the way that it is programmed is, for the bachelor's level, it's 3 years. And then for master's level, it's 2 years or 2.5. It depends with how well organized you are, because sometimes people take even 3 years to finish their master's, but the duration is 2 years. And then you have specialized programs that can take 5 to 6 years. So programs like medicine, pharmacy, they take a bit longer. And then you have PhDs as well that take about 3 years. So what is the A to Z of studying in Italy? Anita already ran through the process, so you have to select the university. You have to first do your research. Which university do I want to go to? Why do I want to go to this university? Which program should I study? Which city should I go to? You have to sit with yourself, look at your budget, look at your interest. If I go to this city, am I going to focus on studies or should I combine it with working? And then from there, you can go on and start the university application process once you've settled for what you want and what you don't want. Then after the university applications, if you're given admission, you have to pre-enroll. So all international students pre-enroll on Universally. So you do partly the enrollment on the website, partly at the embassy, and then the last phase of the enrollment is when you come here in Italy. Now, so the first phase is the university application process, and that process usually Italian universities open their applications for admission around late September, mid-October, depending on the university, up until somewhere around May. Some universities, such as Milan Bicocca, closing the admissions, I think 31st of this month, then they will reopen again. So there are different rounds of admission. However, do pay attention that the admission rounds are for specific applicants. So you have to be very careful. You need to read. One thing that we lack, that we don't do, is read, most of us. So you have to read this call for application. Is it for non-EU? Is it valid for only EU applicants or non-EU applicants who are in the EU? Then you can apply within that window. Now, my advice to you is don't wait until the last minute to start the application process. Gather your documents, put everything in order, apply, get admission, do the pre-enrollment. The pre-enrollments can go hand in hand with the scholarship application. So there are different various scholarships. Pre-enrollment could start maybe somewhere around April, but I do know that some universities, such as Firenze, they are currently doing pre-enrollment by the end of this month. Some students who've gotten admission have to do the pre-enrollment. Then you have the scholarship application, you gather the documents and you apply. For the pre-enrollment, you are required to request a DOV. We'll answer this question. Then you apply for the visa and you come into the country. So the basic documents that are required for application, if you're applying for a master's, for example, is your high school diploma. So if you're coming from Ghana, Nigeria, your WAEC. If you're coming from Zambia, your GCE. If you're coming from Malawi, I'm not sure what type of exam you had, but your high school diploma, your transcript, bachelor's degree transcript, your bachelor's degree certificate. Then you need your CV, which is in Europass form, as well as a statement of purpose. And sometimes universities require you to provide a course syllabus. So there is already a form that you need to fill in for you to be able to submit, and as well as recommendation letters. For the English proficiency, some universities specify what type of language certificate you have, but most of them, if you have a proficiency letter from the university, it should suffice. So why study in Italy? Anita already covered this: affordability, the quality of education, the scholarship opportunities, the unique cultural experience, as well as opportunities to migrate to other countries. So what are our services? You might be wondering. So Admiral Consult does free student documents evaluation. You just send your documents to our email. We'll be able to evaluate them and then let you know whether we can work with you or not. And then, of course, we do after, if the evaluation is positive, we do the university profiling. We have a meeting with you, tell you these are the universities that we know you qualify for, that you could get admission into, and then this is why you should maybe consider this or this or this or this particular program or this particular city. So every university profile is customized to the student's needs. Then we go on with the university applications, then the scholarship applications, as well as doing within the application process, the CV and the SOP. We do that. And then we also help you in terms of the university and scholarship interviews, as well as visa guidance. So these are the services that we're offering. And currently, we only have 2 packages, which is a complete Study in Italy Pro package, as well as the Study in Italy mini package that you can find on our TopMate page or seller page. So what differentiates the Study in Italy Pro package from the mini package is that the Pro package has scholarship application included in it. So either the MAECI or the regional scholarship applications as well, and other scholarships. Whereas the mini package does not have the scholarship application. So if you feel, okay, I can afford, I don't need to apply for the scholarship, you can just book the mini application, mini package. If you do want to work with us, these are the documents that you would need to send to our email. So depending on which level you are applying for. And so for the free evaluation, I'll talk about the free evaluation. These are the documents that will be required as well. So your high school diploma, your bachelor's degree certificate if you're applying for a master's, and then transcript of records and the medium of instruction. So the English proficiency, as well as a CV, as well as a passport. If you're planning to study, you should have a passport. We also have the visa guidance package. So in particular, this is a separate package. It's not part of the Pro or mini package. You have to book this separately, and our visa consultant will help you. You have to send certain documentations to them to evaluate and help you to become visa prepared and ensure that you're able to get your visa. So for the visa services, I will not go through it now because we have our visa officer available and you can ask detailed questions in regards to that. So meet our team. We have Anita Soa, who is the co-founder and the marketing strategist and CEO for this company. And then you have myself, who's a co-founder and an administrator, as well as Ezra, who's a consultant, and Emmanuel, our visa officer, as well as Maureen, our social media assistant, and yes, our social media assistants. So how can you reach us? Anita, could you pin these into the chat? All right, great. So this is how you can reach us. If you need to send your documents, you send to info@Admiral EduConsult. This is our website. You have the email as well, and this is where you can book the service. Let's just have a quick look at some of the testimonies that we have had so far with our students. You can see here we worked with Princess, who's currently studying in Salento. She's one of the students that we worked with last year. and she's currently doing her master's in Salento. We also have another testimony from Daniela. We have as well from Sheka, who's currently studying at the University of Siena, a master's in pharmaceutical and biotechnology. Then we have other past from the previous year, and these some of these students, they already they gained admission in several universities, but some of them also secured scholarships. So we have like Muhammad, who's currently studying, I think, where is Muhammad studying?
He's studying at the
Bergamo.
University of Bergamo. Yeah.
Bergamo, yes. And he was also awarded the Maechi scholarship. So we helped him with the Italian government scholarship, as well as Ryan, who's studying in Rome at the University of Sapienza. He was awarded both the DSU as well as the Maechi, right?
Yes, yes. And then he chose to go with Maiji.
To go with the Maechi scholarship. And then we have also Faith Godwin that we worked with the previous year. I think it should be the previous year. And many, many more testimonies. Okay. So I think that's the end of it. You can come in with your questions so that we can get the ball rolling.
Yeah, so basically, this part from here going forward, the floor is open. The webinar is mainly for you to ask your questions. It doesn't matter which stage you're in, if you even want to study for the next intake, but then you want more information, come on board, ask your questions, we will answer the question. So you can, if you want to talk, okay, you can just raise your hand, and then you will be let in to talk basically. If you also prefer sending that of your questions to the chat as well, you can do that. And then, yeah. So let's see. Before we start taking that of the questions, as you guys are preparing, Emmanuel, if you're here, you can do a rundown on that of the visa, some of the things that they need to know, so that as the questions are coming, I'm sure once you do the rundown, it will already answer some questions from students. Okay, let's see. Okay, so we have a question here. Okay, so I have a question from David. I've applied to let me see. I've applied to 5 Italian schools, but no feedback yet. And then I'm from Nigeria. How do I go about booking the DOV and legalization appointment? Because I heard it closed earlier here in Nigeria. Can I just book now, pending the admission offer? Okay. So you applied to the University of L'Aquila, Catania, Calabria, Palermo, and that of Ca' Foscari, University of Venezia. Yes. So the first question that I'm going to ask has to do with when did you actually apply to these universities? Because in Italy, depending on the particular intake that you applied to. So if an example, the university currently has an intake that is open and it needs to be closed, an example, 31st of March. Some of these universities, you're going to get feedback from them after that particular intake has ended. In some universities, you can actually get feedback if you give it a month after you actually send that of your application. So I want to ask, when did you send these applications? I'm sure you didn't send all at once. That's very, very important as well. Then you indicated, so just give it a month from when you sent the application. And you indicated, how do I go about booking the DOV and then the legalization appointment? In Nigeria, you actually have to send that of an email to the consulate. That's how you go through, you go to book that of the legalization. Remember, if you do not have an admission offer, you would have to pay for that of the DOV. So you have to pay for the pages of the documents and everything. So that is the difference. However, on the flip side, waiting to actually get admission may stall your process, because this year we saw several students getting DOV dates this January. Meanwhile, they got admission last year. There's several students coming from Nigeria that the process got delayed because they wanted to get that of the admission and everything. If you're coming from Nigeria, it's advised that you actually send an application early. So the application is open from October, November. So you should have sent it by then, so that entering into January, you already have admission. And then you rather focus on the DOV and everything because you have the admission. So it's a bit much more easier. But then if, as of now, we are at the end of March, heading towards April, and then you do not have you've not gotten feedback yet from these universities, you might have to decide if you want to go for the DOV and pay. Because we've seen candidates who waited, they wanted to get the DOV free of charge, they waited and they got delayed at a point, they even wanted to pay the money, but then there are no dates, they were not being responded to and everything. So that is something that is very, very critical, especially for Nigerians. For Ghana, the process is different, it's a bit easier. In other African countries, the process is also easier compared to Nigeria. So that is what you need to decide as of now. If looking at when you applied, if it's not up to a month, you just applied, then you may have to decide if you want to go for the DOV and pay for it or not. I think we've answered that of your questions. Yeah, because I heard it's this year it's. Then we have another question. How do study loans work in Italy, and how does one check if they would be eligible prior to making an application at a university? This is actually a very, very good question, because Italy operates a different system. Unlike the UK and other destinations where study loans are mainly accepted, you can use it to fund that of your studies and everything, unless that of the guidelines for this year's intake changes things, okay, until the last intake. The guidelines around visa is you would have to have that of your own sponsor, or you sponsoring yourself, or you should have a scholarship like that of the Maichi scholarship, or be sponsored by a verifiable entity. So that means your parents should be the ones sponsoring you, or you sponsoring your own studies, or from a verifiable entity. Can I classify getting a study loan from, a reputable organization to fall under that of the sponsorship from a reputable company or an entity? No, I would not specifically classify it there. Mainly for Italy, the embassies look at how sustainable the proof of funds that you're providing is. Is it going to how is it going to assist you to freely study, concentrate on your studies and everything? So it's very important, mainly for what I know from the guidelines from that of the Ministry of University and Research. They do not clearly state if candidates can use study loans. Have people tried study loans and have it worked for them? Yes, that is if they use that of the method that is acceptable. So someone can take the study loan. An example, someone coming from Cameroon can take that particular study loan and put it in a block account. Here, the situation is completely different because it's in a block account. Cameroon uses that particular system. Because it's in a block account, what matters is the money is there. and the visa is issued. So that is one particular thing. So please, if you can really clarify which country you are coming from, it will be a bit easier. Don't ask a general question, because each and every embassy across Africa have their own differences. Ghana, Nigeria, you don't need block account. Cameroon, you need block account. So if you specify the country you're coming from, it helps us give you, a good information. I don't know any one on board the team if you want to add. If you, Manuel, you're
No, I
also here
think
as
I
well.
think maybe he was asking how do study loans work in Italy and how does one check if there would be. Do you mean like getting like a study loan like the way that in the US they give student loans? Because I don't think that in Italy we have any entity that can give you a student loan to come and study in Italy, unless if you are already in the country and you get a loan from your bank, but then there are specific documents that you need to have in order for them to give you that loan. However, I have not personally seen the Italian government giving student loans to students to come and study in Italy, like the way that they do, organizations do in the US.
And then to add, um, yeah, there've been there've been some systems as well, some organizations of late that are coming up in Italy that actually do this. But then the process is a bit different compared to the US and the UK and everything, because there need to be a guarantee for the person who need to be in Italy to guarantee, and the process is a bit different. And to say if your particular embassy is going to accept it or not, it is not entirely up to us. It is always up to that the embassy to be able to verify that, okay, is this something that they feel like can be a sustainable source of income, or sustainable sponsorship for you while studying here in Italy. But then in Italy, it's actually not popular. Studying with study loans are actually not popular, unless the situation where I indicated with Cameroon, where you've just taken the money and then you've blocked it. So where the money is coming from is not necessarily the focus, but the fact that the money is in the account and then is blocked is actually what the focus is on. So yeah, I don't know, Emmanuel, if you're here and then you want to add something to this particular question as well, you can come on board and then add something to it.
All right, thank you, and good evening to everybody. I'm Emmanuel. I think I've already been introduced. I don't know, but maybe
Yes.
yes. Okay, so I've read some questions in the in chat box, and I would want to touch on them. On the part of the admission, I think whoever has applied and waiting for a decision, it is just for you to wait. The schools will give out their results pretty soon because time is running out, and some of them will be giving results very soon. So if you've applied and you are waiting, you shouldn't worry. Just wait for the admission. It will come. I saw a question here that my question is I'm in Ghana, but I'm unable to access the courses on Universitali. Okay, on the part of Universitali, let me.
Ultra.
Yeah.
Ultra, wait. So let's follow the sequence. We're already answering a question from Mbongeni Goza. Sorry if I mentioned your name wrongly. She asked a question around that of study loans. So we are moving accordance to the question. So probably if you can, because you've already thrown light on her question. So if you can also throw light on that before we move to the other questions that came later.
Well, okay. For study loans, like you said, Italy is not well known for giving study loans to students. Let me say for international students. But with what I know about that is that if you are a student here and you have been able to get your first residence permit and you are working, then your bank, some banks call their clients to ask if they need loans that I'm aware. Because I remember very well during my first year that I immediately I started working and money started coming into the accounts. I had some of the banks calling me. My bank called me to give me a loan, but it's not specifically as in for funding your school, maybe for your personal stuff. I mean that you want to do. So for student loans, I don't think I have not heard anyone here being on a student loan. So I think that is what I can say about that.
Okay. Yes. So, because I hope we were able to answer that particular question. Yes. So let's see. Then we have another question from Mark. Another question from Mark around, but then let's see. Asanka, your hand has been up for a while, so I think you can come on, ask your questions before we will continue with answering questions from the chat, because we've already answered 2 questions from the chat. So you can come on and ask your question. Sanka, sorry if I'm butchering your name. Okay, so if you're not here, then we are going
Should
to
be
move on.
Hassan, maybe
Okay.
Hassan Car. I don't know. Or Noni as well has
Yeah,
had
Noni, you
hand.
can, yeah. Noni, are you here? Can you can you come on board and ask your questions so that I can rest your hand? Okay, I guess they're not here, so we can continue with that of the chat. Okay, so the next question on the chat, let's see, let me check the chat. The next question that we have in the chat is coming from Mark.
So, yeah, can you hear me now?
Who is that?
Noni.
Please.
Okay. Yeah, you can go on and ask your question.
Yeah, so I have a question, please. And that's the first question is regarding the pre-enrollment portal. So I was told we are going to receive an email as to when the portal opens. So I don't know how true that is, and I want to find out about that.
Okay, who told you that?
And secondly, with the was cancelled due to the fact that I was hospitalized. So I canceled that, rewrote another email. But the thing is, I had 2 admissions. There was an admission that I got last year, which I was unable to follow through. So I had a new admission. So my point is, with the new admission, there has been no pre-enrollment due to the portal not being open yet. So I was hoping I could write an email to the consulate using the previous pre-enrollment summary, and I was trying to ask if that it's a thing to do, or I will have to wait pre-enroll for the new admission, then write an email, because I'm afraid of the timeline and I might not be able to meet up due to the appointment dates being given can come late sometimes. So I was hoping maybe you can shed a little bit of light on that.
Okay, I didn't clearly get what you were saying, but you got
yeah.
admission. You got admission last year. You couldn't come in, so you have a new admission, but now you're
but I
waiting
haven't
for
been unable to
pre-enrollment.
pre-enroll. So with the DOV appointment, uh, uh, you have to include or attach your pre-enrollment summary in order to send an email, right? But since the portal is not open, and I was hoping in order to get the appointment date early, so I was hoping maybe I could use the pre-enrollment summary that I got for the last year to send an email in, hoping that it will work out like that.
Okay, so here I want to ask a very, very pivotal question, which has to do with last year when you got the admission. Did you try contacting the embassy for pre-enrollment with the pre-enrollment summary?
Yes, I did.
You did. Okay. Were you given a date?
Yeah, the date came way too late. The
But then
date came, I
did you
think that
go
was
for the
last month,
appointment?
and Yeah, you said, pardon?
They gave you a date last month, but did you go for the appointment?
No. I couldn't meet up
Why?
with the appointment date because I was
Why?
hospitalized.
Ah,
Okay, so this is very, very critical. In Nigeria, whichever date you get, even if that particular year's intake is about coming to an
Yeah.
end and then you're unable to come in and everything, the most important thing, especially from Nigeria, is getting the DOV. You can reapply again to the university for the next intake if you're already late to come in. But then having the DOV is the most important part so that the moment you do get the admission, the next intake, you directly go to that of the visa stage because you already have your DOV. But then with your situation now that you got an appointment date last month, and then you couldn't go, I don't know if you tried reaching out to them to let them know, oh, this is the
Yeah, I did.
situation.
I
I
wrote
was
an email
hospitalized.
that I won't be able to make it and I would like to cancel because I was
Mhm.
hospitalized and that was the situation.
And what did they say?
They just sent a confirmation for the cancellation. So, and that was it.
Okay. So now what you're going to do is because your situation is particular, I'm not going to say that, oh, this is the format that each and everyone is supposed to use. But then because you already started a conversation with them, um, based on the pre-enrollments that you had the previous year, contact them again, requesting
Yes.
for the DOV. Because this year, if you're waiting, the guidelines around DOV will come from the Ministry of University and Research a bit later. And then for Nigeria, that would be a wrong move on your part. So
Okay.
contact them again, requesting for that of the DOV date, because
Okay.
until the guideline around DOV comes out from the Ministry of University and Research, you can use your previous pre-enrollment to go for
Okay. So
DOV.
that is
This is
my
particular.
point exactly.
Yes, this is very, very
mm,
particular. Just because you've already started a conversation with them, they gave you a date, you told them you were sick. Just because of that, I'm putting it out there.
So I
Just
can
because
just
of
use the
that,
same thread.
just let them know that this
yes.
and this and that, and then you just got better, so you want to come for the appointment, and then let's see if they give you any
The
new date or they
appointment.
tell you, yeah, let's see if they give you a new date for the appointment or they tell you you have to wait until the guidelines from the Ministry of University and Research comes out this year. If they say
Um,
that, then you have to wait till you get your new pre-enrollment. Because the moment the guidelines come for 2026 and 2027, you will have to use a pre-enrollment summary focused on that particular year. But then until it comes out, you can use the previous
Okay.
pre-enrollment summary.
Yeah, in fact, I was going to add saying
Okay.
when you get admission, remember when you're getting admission, you put your country, your details and whatnot, where you're applying from and whatnot. So when you do get the admission, the university does alongside when the university portal is open, they do alert the embassy to say you have received admission and you will be requesting for a
Okay.
visa in the near whatever the coming days or whatever. So use your previous pre-enrollment, attach your current admission because your previous admission is not valid for this year. So attach both admissions following the same email thread, and request for a new date for the DOV.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, that's
Yeah,
university
all right.
isn't open. I know that the portal isn't, is it open? I don't
it's
think
not
it is open
it's
yet.
not
It's not.
open. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's not.
regarding that,
So
I was told we are going to receive an email as to when the portal opens. Is that true, or we just have to
yes.
keep on checking the website from time to
No,
time?
that is true. That is true. The Ministry of University and Research has not released the guidelines. So the university the university is not in charge of opening University Italy for you to go and pre-enroll. It is only the government that can do that because that's a website for international students.
Okay.
So until the
Okay.
guidelines come from the ministry, they cannot do anything. So once they get the guidelines, then they alert you that, oh, you can start pre-enrolling and everything. But then with your situation, I'm guessing you got the admission you got again is at the same university that you got last
Yeah,
year.
the same
Okay,
university.
so that is a
Even
very
better.
particular situation. Yeah. So you just reach out to them and just continue with the request you've already made regarding the DOV, and then go for it before the ministry releases its guidelines for the 2026 and 2027 intake. So I guess
All
we've
right, thank
answered
you.
your questions. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
been very informative.
Okay.
Please, I have a
You're
question.
most welcome. Kwabena, wait. We can see Philip's hand is up, and then we have some questions here as well, and in the chat. So, Kwabena, if you want to ask a question, please raise your hand so that we are able to, follow. Yes. So,
Please, I'm
Yebu,
struggling to raise up my hand sake of my phone. I have some problem with it. That's why I tripped in.
okay. So I'm going to call you then. I've marked your name, Kwabena. I'll call you then. But then, since Philip's hand is up, let's let him ask his questions. Then I'm going to call you. Okay.
All right then.
So Philip.
Hello.
Mhm,
Good,
mhm. Good
hello.
evening,
Good
Philip.
evening.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for this session. My question is, I've gotten admission in the University of Florida. Legalize my document.
Your
I've
line
already
is not a
started
bit
it.
clear. Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Yeah.
Please, can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was saying that I've been admitted in the University of Florida.
Torino. Okay.
Yes, please. I'm supposed to legalize my document as part of the documentation that they needed. So I've started with language translation and then authentication. I don't know whether I'm on the right path or I should wait for maybe the embassy or the to come out with any information if I can see.
Where are you coming from? You've told us the university you're going to, but then where you're coming from is actually very, very important. So which
Okay, I'm from Ghana, please.
okay, you're from Ghana. Okay, so you've gotten admission. And then you said you have done that of the authentication.
I've already translated my documents.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Hello.
So your question was whether you're on the right path.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Your question was whether you're on the right path.
Yes, please.
Yes, so for Ghana, apart from that of the translation of your documents, you just have to wait till the guidelines from the Ministry of University and Research comes out, because Ghana is particularly different from Nigeria, where you have to send an email to the consulate and everything. For Ghana, unless they change anything this year, you have to go and book the legalization date on pre-notami. You have to book it there and then go for the appointment. But one particular thing that you have to notice, I see a number of candidates confuse the Ghanaian process with that of Nigeria, because Nigeria, they'll have to do the authentication themselves, so they have to go to the ministry for that of that particular process and everything. However, that process is not what is done in Ghana. I've seen candidates waste their money on that particular process. Apart from translating, next thing you're just supposed to do is to wait. You can send an email to the Ghanaian embassy, and then what they're going to tell you is their portal will open soon for pre-enrollment, for you to book the DOV, and everything. That is what they're going to tell you. You don't have to go to the ministry in Ghana to go to acquire anything to do authentication of your document, because that is not the process in Ghana. You can do the authentication, but then at the end of the day, you still have to pay the money to the Ghanaian embassy to go and verify. Because in Ghana, that is what they do. They will go and verify the documents themselves. They're going to reach out to your university, your high school. They're going to find out the authenticity of the document before they're going to issue out that of the legalization and then the DOV. So you're on the right path. If you've just done the authentication, you're on the right path. Just send an email to the Ghanaian embassy. They're going to let you know that their portal is going to open soon, so that you just be on the lookout. Once the portal opens, just go on to Prenotami and book that of a spot for the DOV. But then ensure that aside from translating your documents, you have all of your documents with you. So that of your high school documents, your transcript. Some students actually do have their WASI, but then they confuse it with that of the transcript. Is different. In Ghana, you have to go to your high school and request for your transcript itself. The transcript is given by the high school and not the same as the that of the WASI. Okay, so once you get that, and then you have all of the other documents that you have, what you're going to do is, outside of the translation that you've made, you're going to get 2 copies of each documents that you have. Okay, so your high school documents, that of the WASI and that of the transcript, then your university documents and its transcript as well. You're going to ensure that you make 2 copies each of this document, both the translated ones and then that of the original documents. And then you're going to add all of this together to the declaration of value form. You're going to fill it and add it and take it to the embassy for the appointment. But then once they give you the updates for this year, once you book on Prenotami, they're still going to repeat this. They're going to tell you what you should know and everything. And then the money you should go with. Because for the embassy verifying your document, you have to pay. Okay? For the embassy verifying your document, you have to pay. Unlike Nigeria and Ghana, you can submit that of your pre-enrollment summary or that of your admission letter, because in Italy, some universities do not give out that of an admission letter. Okay, an example at the University of Bologna, you would get a notification on your portal. It will just turn to green, meaning that you've gotten an admission. So you don't get that of an admission letter. So with such a university, the pre-enrollment summary is what is going to help you when you're requesting for the DOV. But then in other universities as well, they're going to give you that of an admission letter. There are some programs at the University of Bologna that they also issue an admission letter. In some universities as well, they're going to send out that of an email telling you that you've gotten that an admission. So it varies across the universities. So that's one thing that you need to know. But then you're on the right path. Basically, you just send an email to the consulate and it will let you know when the portal is going to open. So I guess we've answered that particular question. You're going to move on to, I have a question here on YouTube. So let's see. I have a question here saying, hello, sir. My name is Constantine. I'm coming from Rwanda. I need free and full scholarship, but then I don't have a bank statement. Thank you very much. Okay, so let me try and understand. You need free and full scholarship. What you need to know about studying in Italy is so many candidates actually confuse it. The scholarship application and in the admission process are different. Someone is sitting somewhere with who have applied just for the Mighty Scholarship, and then you're thinking, oh wow, the that of the university that I indicated while I applied for the scholarship, it means that I've automatically sent an admission to that university. It doesn't work that way. You're supposed to independently send an admission to the university, get that of an admission, and then from that, and then from that request for that of the declaration, and then from that request for that of the scholarship. So that is very, very, very important. So if you want a scholarship, focus first on sending an application to the university and then sending an application separately for that of the scholarship. Take note, you're required to have bank statements regardless. So you need to have someone who will be sponsoring you, either your parents, you need to have someone who will be sponsoring you yourself, or going for the scholarship. But then regardless, you're still supposed to have proof of funds. Okay, that is important. Mildred, you want to say something?
Yeah, in regards to the same question or the admission and scholarship as well, because I also noticed that somebody sent a message in connection to that where they have, I'm assuming they applied for the Maechi scholarship and listed 3 universities, but they haven't yet gotten admission. So if they do get admission, but then if they do get the scholarship, but they don't get admission in the universities they listed, can they still get the scholarship and with an alternative university that gives them the admission? No. The university that you list on your scholarship application is the university. Since you have 3 options, that is, you pick one. The priority university is the one that you go to. So ensure that you get admission in these 2 universities if you haven't yet applied. Make a concise application, error-free, and ensure that you get the same programs, the same universities you list on your scholarship application are the ones that you be granted the scholarship under. 2 separate applications. Those who intend to apply for regional scholarships, the cores are going to come out depending on the region. Some might come out early, some might not. But that is a separate application.
Thank you, Mildred. So you're indicating that you want to study master's degree, but then in your previous studies, you did general nursing as a bachelor's degree. So take note, we do not have that of master's in nursing in English in Italy. So what you can do is to look for a related program. Okay, what you can do, I think, yeah, Kibehu, what you can do is to look for an alternative program to study. So that is actually very, very important at the master's level. Then I have a question, Ashwebi Styles update. How do I start the first assessment process? So I guess you're talking about that of the first assessment. Can you clarify? Is it about working with us at Admiral? Then you're going to have to send us that of your documents to our email. I'm going to pin it in the chat. So I send your documents for the assessment. If you mean at the university, then obviously the first thing you're going to do is after you've shortlisted the universities, you're going to check that of their requirements on their website. And then from there, you're going to send your that of the application for admission, basically.
Please, can I come on with my question?
We have another question from Maestro. Please hold on. For instance, you have university scholarship offer of 8,000 euros per year. Am I required to have exactly 6,000 as proof of funds? So for instance, you have a university scholarship. Okay, if you have a university scholarship of 8,000 per year, from the Ministry of University and Research, you're supposed to have 7,500 euros per academic year. So already your scholarship is covering that. You should have proof of funds, because obviously this particular scholarship, the amount will come in a bit later. So outside of your 8,000 euros per year, you can have additional proof of funds to show during the visa stage. So if you have 6,000 euros, that's actually something that you can still use for the visa application, as long as you have a letter from your university stating that this is the scholarship amount that they are giving to you. Okay, so this is the question from Maestro. I hope you were able to answer that. But then congratulations on the university scholarship as well. So I think, you can come on and ask the question that you had.
Who are you talking to, Miss?
No,
Kwabene.
Kwabena. Yeah. We had Kwabena wanted to ask questions, yeah.
Thank you very much. Please, my question is, with my AC scholarship, already I've gotten admission from the University of Tunisia, and I've submitted a separate application for that. Do I need to attach my application, my admission letter in applying for the MIT scholarship?
Let me answer that. You did already apply for the MIT scholarship, right?
Yes, please.
Okay. It would have been better if you attached your admission letter. But it really doesn't matter because it's already done. You could have added your admission letter on the other documents section, could have uploaded it. But if you do meet the requirements and you are shortlisted, they think because it's based on merit, they think you're the right candidate, whether you have uploaded your admission letter or not, they will contact you, they will shortlist you. So it's
Okay, please.
dependent on the criteria. It doesn't matter whether you have already gotten the admission or not, but it would have been better if you had uploaded the admission letter. And then
Okay,
from there, they will decide whether to shortlist you. And depending on the number of recipients that they have for that particular year, they'll decide.
Moreover, please, with the Universe Italy, I want to know the date they will open the application portal. And do I need to translate my document before I upload them during my application for the Universe Italy?
Where are you coming from?
I'm coming from Ghana.
For Universe Italy, you just upload your documents in English, basically. It is the
Oh,
translation is needed for the DOV.
okay.
Yeah, the translation is needed for that of the DOV. And based on your question, I want to put this out there. I don't know if you read the call for applications before applying for the MIT scholarship, but then I always encourage candidates to actually apply for the scholarship because one, information is what is going to make or break that of your application. The
Okay.
committee have seen over the years that candidates actually apply without having an admission letter. And then it's been particularly difficult because just imagine they don't give the scholarship to someone else and then they give to you. And then later they start chasing you around for your admission letter. Some students actually end up not having an admission because maybe by the time the MIT scholarship will get back to them, the admissions have already closed. I've seen
Yes,
candidates
please.
reaching out somewhere in, I guess, how do I get admission? I just got the MIT scholarship, but then I don't have an admission. And then having experienced these challenges over the years, the committee themselves, they've also gotten to the point where they clearly understand that some students apply without having an admission. And it becomes problematic because we don't give the scholarship to someone else, we give it to you, and then we realize that you don't have an admission. So it would have been best if you had attached your admission letter while applying so that they know that you have an admission, and that could be a differentiating factor. Okay, so obviously, just like Mildred mentioned, the it's already done, and everything. So you just have to pray that once they shortlist you, you are able to upload documents later because once they shortlist you, then you have the opportunity to actually upload the document. But then ensure that going forward, any other thing that you apply for, you ensure you clearly read the guidelines and then upload all needed documents so that you don't fall short in one part that could actually influence the outcome of your application.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to come in on the part of the MIT. I'm not a MIT scholar, but then with your question that was asked in a chat box, I was the one who answered. I think the person was trying to ask if you didn't get admission in any of the selected schools and you get an admission in another school, can you use the MIT scholarship for that school that you didn't select? And I have a testimony from one guy who didn't get any of the schools selected. But just as you rightly said right now, he got admission in another school and then used the MIT scholarship. I think you just have to send the MIT people them a message that you didn't get any of the schools that you selected. That goes with the scholarship. So this is the school you've gotten, send your admission. Yeah. So
You're
that is
right,
what that guy
Emmanuel.
did. Yeah.
But then that's why I
Yes
asked the
and
guy
no.
whether that's why I asked him whether you read this year's call. Things have changed actually.
Things,
There,
yeah,
Okay.
yes, things
Okay.
have
So they've
changed.
changed that
yeah.
rule.
In fact, they are a bit stringent now, even when it comes to whether you've had an admission or not, because previously a lot of people would apply for the Maichi scholarship without admission. So even if you're shortlisted for the interview, but then you get to the interview part and you don't have admission, they will drop you. They will not give you the scholarship. I've had
Oh, okay.
friends go through that. It's become too competitive. It was competitive, but now a lot of people have known about it. But again, when you look at this situation, it's a case by case situation, country by country. What might have worked for somebody might not work for maybe the majority. We've had students who have maybe a second class lower and they've gained admission into Italian university less than 2.1. But most universities in Italy they can't give you admission if you have a second class lower. So I think these things, they can be by chance or luck or the country that you're in. But the norm is that if you don't have admission into the university that you had listed, because even the prioritization of the universities is also taken into consideration. Because when I applied, I had listed two universities, three different programs, and I didn't get into my priority university. So when I received the award letter, it came with the university that I had listed as a priority university in my scholarship application, which was Ca' Foscari, Venezia. But I got admission into Siena, so that is why they could give me the admission, because the scholarship. Otherwise, it was going to be given to somebody else if none of the universities that I had listed didn't give me any admission. So it depends.
It actually depends. And in this year, they changed things a bit because of, just like what I mentioned, they've seen over the years, they give out a scholarship to students who actually do not have an admission. And it becomes a bit difficult because it's like you end up wasting the slot, because the fact that you have the scholarship doesn't mean that in any university will store in its tracks just to give you an admission. Who cares? No, if you don't, we know about how Italian embassies, not embassy, Italian universities are very particular about applying within the particular period that they issue out admission. Some students, it has worked for them. They've emailed the universities, they pleaded, oh, I just got it. It has worked for them. Some, it actually didn't work. And then that means for this particular student, they end up wasting the scholarship slot because you can't come in. If you don't have an admission, even with the scholarship, you can't enter into the territory. So I'm sure that's why they've changed things a bit this year. And then probably going forward, that's what they're going to maintain. So always ensure that you apply early. And then even in the COF application, they indicated that students are supposed to apply for admission separately. So tell me why they will be lax on that, because they've indicated there. And they always advise students to read the COF applications before you apply for the scholarship. So yeah, let's just pray that you have an admission, you just didn't upload that particular document. Let's hope you get selected and then you're able to put that out there. So we have Asanka. You can come on board and ask your questions before we go back to the chat to answer questions.
Yes, I have a question. There is a scholarship called Calabria, University of Calabria. Have you heard of it? It will close by the end of this month. Do you have any information about it, please?
I think for the University of Calabria, they have like it should be a merit-based scholarship, if I'm not mistaken. It's worth 3,000 euros to cater with your tuition. I don't know if this year they have updated it. I haven't taken a chance to look at it, but it's basically a merit-based scholarship. You have to apply it. You have to apply for it separately alongside your admission. So the university then gets to decide whether they should grant you the admission or not, but it's a separate application.
What do you mean by separated application?
Okay, so when it comes to university scholarships, there are two ways that university scholarships are done. The first one is just according to the documents that you submit for admission, regular admission. For example, the University of Milan, when they have a merit-based scholarship for the program, the Human Resource Masters in Human Resource. They have a merit-based scholarship. So according to the document you submit for admission and the results because they have an entrance test. So if you get 60%, then they'll give you 60% university scholarship. If you get 90%, they'll give you 90%. So depending on your score and the evaluation from the committee, based on your documents, they decide how much they should give you as a university scholarship. Then there is also different types of university scholarships where you have to apply in the university portal. Okay, you have submitted your admission, then in the portal, there is a separate application for you to apply for the scholarship. So you click on it, you apply for it on your portal, which is on the university portal. You apply for it. Maybe they might even request an interview. So you do a short video, like the University of Siena, the scholarship that they had. They requested that those who wanted to apply for the scholarship should shoot a 2 minutes or 1 minute video saying why they should apply for the scholarship. So it is a separate application or it is an automatic application. It depends with the university, basically. Does that answer your question, Hassan?
Okay. You told me it's a merit scholarship or what?
Merit-based scholarship. So
What do you mean
scholarships
by?
are split in two. There is merit-based scholarship and there is need-based scholarship, or it can be a combination of both. So if I say merit-based scholarship, it means if you have good grades in your previous bachelor's degree, let's say, if you had very good grades, you had a distinction or a merit, they look at your documents, they evaluate them, then they decide that, okay, we can give you the scholarship. Need-based scholarships, excuse me, they are based on need. So they'll evaluate your economic condition, the country that you're coming from, and they'll see, okay, this person, for them to come and study, they do need this scholarship. Or it can be both, where there has to be merit. You have to have good grades and you have to express the need that you really need this scholarship.
Okay. You
Thank
understand.
you. Thank you, Mildred. Hassan, I'm also going to recommend that you actually go onto the University of Calabria website and read the call for applications as well to have a bit more knowledge about the scholarship that they're offering. And then if you intend to apply for that scholarship, to apply within the deadline, because once you send the application for the application for the admission, as long as you meet the requirements, I'm going to consider you for the scholarship as I'm reading on the website. So go to the university website, read the guidelines so that you can be able to follow through if you know that you meet that of the requirement. So we are going to run as of now because we have 24 minutes to wrap up. We have several questions in the chat and then that of some hands up. So let's run through the chat a bit. Then we ask people to come on board and ask their questions. So Mildred, can you read the questions in the chat? The next question that we have is from Mark, who is from Ghana. Can you see it? It's written, I'm Mark from Ghana. How do I go about getting the Easy UP document and then a family status document? Also, for proof of funds, can I use a statement of account for my investment account plus bank account? Lastly, can I use DOV from last year? DOV does not expire. So as long as you have your DOV, you can use it basically. Your investment account plus that of your bank account. Emmanuel, you can come on board and ask this question, but then please ensure that the fund is liquidable. Ensure that the investment account that you have is not an amount that, an example, if you have that of the, you bought bonds, or you have that of the, I've forgotten this particular one, the one with the rollover, where you, I've forgotten that particular one, but then ensure that the money is liquidable. It's in your account and not held, in the investment account. That is very, very important. Then your first question on the Easy UP. Okay, the Easy UP is something you can get only when you get in Italy. So let's focus on the family status document. So what you're supposed to do is you go to that of the Commissioner of Oaths, or to go to your local authority in Ghana, that is your local assembly, to get the document on your family status. Okay, so the composition of your family. And to answer this question clearly, you have to tell us which university that you are going to study at, because each and every region and then the guidelines they have. So that of the document on your family income should focus on a particular year. I can only tell you that if you tell me which region you're going to study at. Otherwise, I will talk a lot because it varies across regions, and then we don't have enough time for that. So if you can specify the particular region that you're going to, it will really help. But then if you're going to the Lazio region, they ask 2 years prior. If you're coming to the Emilia Romagna region, they are going to ask a year prior. So that is what you should take note of. So for the easier, you get it here in Italy. For the easier, you get it here in Italy. What you need is to bring the document, the family composition documents from your home country. That is what is very important. Emmanuel, you can come on board and answer the part of his question on that of the having the investments accounts and wanting to use it as proof of funds, and then that of the statement as well, getting that of the family status from Ghana, basically. But then, yes, from my end, that is what I'll say to that. You go to your local authority, you get the family composition document. Sometimes they're even able to draft, including your family income. You give them that of your salary, how will I say it? Your salaries per month. Once you give them, you give it to them, they're able to sum everything up and put it on the document that will be given to you. And then they'll highlight part on that of the properties that your family have and everything. I have a sample document on my YouTube channel, so you can check it out later. But once you show that sample to the local authority, they know how to go about it, basically. But then, Emmanuel, I can see you are here, so you can also talk a bit on,
I've
on
been
this as
listening.
well.
Yeah, for sure. Concerning that of the proof of funds, mostly the embassies would want to see your personal bank account if you are sponsoring yourself. If your parents are sponsoring you, then their bank accounts. Yeah, some people may say that, okay, they are sponsoring themselves and they are self-employed, they are running the business. You can choose to add your business account, but then your own account is very important. Likewise, if your parents are also self-employed, they are doing their own business. Even if they add their their business bank account or bank statement, they will still need to add their own personal statement. And yes, you can add or you can use more than one bank statement. So, there is no limit in terms of the number of bank statements you want to use. In any case, you have to use less so that it doesn't give the embassy or the visa officer a lot of work to do. In terms of the family status, that is different from the family income status, which that one is used for scholarship stuff. The family status also is a mandatory document for most of the countries. And so, like you said, they can get it from their municipal assemblies or their local assemblies or commission of oath. It depends on where you want to get it from. Yeah, so I mean, that is that. Anyway, if I would want to speak on anyone's financial structure or proof of funds, I would want to know with specifics what kind of job does the person do. I want to see the bank statements to look at how the monies have been run in the account or the entries and the debits and the credits on the bank statements for me to know the person's situation. Yeah, because what the embassy looks at is that they look at first the activities in the accounts. They look at where the monies have been coming from because there should be a source of your funds. If there are anonymous, funds, your opening balance has, let's say, 5,000 euros in equivalent to the country that you are in, and they don't see where the money is coming from. That means that probably you are hiding something. So they should see where the money has been coming from right from the opening balance to the closing balance. So they look at the activities one, and they look at also the balance that you have. These are the things that they look at. They don't want to see there are some large sums of money deposited, and they don't know where they are coming from. So, I mean, that is about a lot of percentage of the entire process for you to get your visa is very important. Yeah, so I would want to have some one-on-one on some of these issues, but generally, that is what the embassy demands you to provide them in terms of the bank statements and then your jobs. You also have to add your own, if you are sponsoring yourself, the proof must be from the taxes you've been paying. If you're not working with the government, if you are working on your own, then you need to get some tax clearance from the tax clearance agencies and stuff, depending on where you are. Yeah, so I think basically these are the things that you will need.
Look at. Okay, thank you. So we're going to run through the questions, and then we have two people whose hands are up so that you can come on and ask your questions. So we have okay, Bakiana. Sorry if I murdered your name, but how much someone can pay to get your assistant until secure admission and scholarship for master's level. So we did indicate earlier, you can also send us an email for that but then you can check that off our website as well, admiraleduconsult.com. But then to work with us, we do have that of the packages for admission and scholarship, and then we also do have that of the package for that of the visa as well. So you can reach out to us depending on which particular package you want to go to. But I'm going to leave it in the chat. You can reach us at info at Admiral Edu Consult, or check out that of educonsult.com, or check out that of our website, Admiral educonsult.com, basically. Yes, so we're going to run through to the next question as well, which is from Nelly. Mildred, can you read the question while I pin the details in the chat? You are muted.
Yeah, the one from Nelly, which has to do with her admission to Siena and the visa. I was actually about to respond to that. Nelly Akpala, if we are late for resumption because visa was issued late, can one still enroll for the semester? What are the penalties, deadlines? I have admission to Siena. Funny thing is, there is a student who has admission to Siena, and this is the exact same situation she's in. Unfortunately, you can't enroll into the program because you missed the deadline for enrollment because of visa issues. This is why we always encourage our students to start early. Start early so that you don't experience these hurdles. You will not be able to enroll. I don't know which program you enrolled in, but you got admission in, but particularly the University of Siena closed their late pre-enrollments or enrollment in general. So they closed it. You can't enroll in that program. My advice to you is come to Italy, enroll into a foundation course. So find something that is for maybe 3 months or 6 months. Do that foundation course while you're in the
No,
country.
Mildred, it is single. You have to go for the single courses,
Single
individual
course,
courses.
sorry, the
Yeah.
single courses. So you have to enroll into the single courses, particularly for Siena. And then while you actually are waiting to get enrolled in the single course, reapply. I'm sure the University of Siena is closing the admission by 30th or 31st of April. So reapply to the program, and in your reapplication, do attach that your visa was only issued recently. Unfortunately, you couldn't, but you have come in the country. That way, your admission might be guaranteed. That is my advice to you. Otherwise, you can't enroll in the second semester. You're too late.
Yeah. So what we're going to do now is for the chat, we are going to answer the questions, just like Stephanie suggested, we're going to answer the questions directly there. So we will no longer be reading the chat. Those who have their hands raised, you can come on and ask your questions so that we can wrap up at 8:30. Okay, so those who ask their questions in the chat, please look out for answers there from that of the administrators, those who are on board. And then those whose hands are up, I have Jesse. Jesse, you can come on board and ask your question.
So, good evening. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can. Just go on.
Okay. Please, I applied last year. I had some admissions. I applied for the visa, but unfortunately, I was rejected due to some. The main reason was concerning my financial background, and also I was told that the course I had an admission on doesn't match with what I did previously, because my previous course was communication studies, in which I majored in public relations, and I had an admission into international relations. So with that, I don't know. This year I've applied some courses that is directly related to my course in the communication field, and also the same international relations. So in case maybe I get admission into the international relations, should I still move on to apply for the visa? I think that's it.
I don't think that, I mean, you did communication with public relations, right?
Yes, that's what I majored.
Transitioning into international relations shouldn't be I don't think it should be a reason for a visa denial, because if the university gave you admission, I'm not sure Autry would come on that, but I don't think it tallies. Maybe
Yeah.
the financial aspect is the big thing, not the program that you're coming to study.
Yeah, maybe I can say something there. I don't know.
Yes. Yes, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, so sure, normally the problem of visa becomes a problem when some students may not really align with some of the things. Yeah, first of all, there is more to financial statements, like proof of funding. You know, sometimes students tend to collect funds consecutively, normally like at the end, almost at the end. And remember, a visa process is an independent thing. The embassy is the one to sit and just decide if it is going to give you or not to give you a visa. So let's imagine like you have like 2 months of let me say like on like, for example, you collected your funds in 2 months. That one may bring something that this student was not ready. He just became ready within these 2 months. So that's why normally we advise some students to go for early visa booking. And when you have decided to start applying for this scholarship, we normally tell students to have started earlier on to deposit some of the money to their bank account or to collect funds. So that when the embassy is going to evaluate, they see some money came to them, another came like after 2 weeks, another came like after a month, another, but it creates confusion when they see some money came on Monday, another one on Wednesday, another. So they start saying now this student, like the money just came within 1 month. So normally this one can lead to the denial of the visa because it seems that you collected the money because you've seen that you're coming to study. So it looks unreal. So, and another thing, if you, I don't know if you submitted your complete financial proof, but if you did, I think that's normally the problem. Like you have to also look at it. But as of the admission, I think it's not a problem. Yeah, for admission, because if the university gave you an admission, that means you're qualified. The embassy can't say anything about the admission provided. I think
Yeah,
the
but
financial statement is, yeah.
okay. Because they stated that was the second reason of
Okay.
the reason for the rejection. So that's what I want to know. Whether I should just focus on solving the main reason, that's the proof of funds.
Yes, proof of funds. Start collecting some funds and create the good time interval. Like
Okay.
don't just collect the money within a month or
All
maybe
right.
2 months. At least create some time interval so that the embassy sees that this person has some income which was being generated at different times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Man, I would want to touch on this. With the differences in, how do I say it? The background, the admission that you might have gotten, it is not a strong basis for a visa denial. But I have had one case before, but then it wasn't only the reason. Mostly they state maybe one or two different reasons, three reasons, and it may not be necessarily the cause because some of them they even add this reason that they don't think that you are genuinely coming to Italy to study. You understand? They
Okay.
doubt your ability to come to Italy to study. So I've had someone who had a rejection and it was stated that because of the differences in the background and the admission that the person has gotten, but then there were other factors related to the income. So if you give them the reason to give you a denial, then they will also add some other reasons to it. You
Okay.
understand? But I also have a lot of people that have gotten admission that had nothing to do with their background, but they got their visas. So
Okay.
that is how it works. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay. Then I'm going to let Nelly Akpala come on board. We are answering the questions that we have in the chat. So please, if you ask the question in the chat, look out for the answers in the chat, okay? But then Nelly, you can come on board, and then Jenny will come, on board. So Nelly, the floor is yours. Hello, Nelly. Are you coming on board?
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I wanted to know, when will the Universitali portal open?
Okay, I think you asked the question in the chat. We've already answered that. The portal is going to open only
Okay.
after the Ministry of University and Research releases its guidelines. So it could be somewhere in June. Yes. Because usually the guidelines
Sorry.
comes out in May, unless things change for this academic year.
Okay. Do I need a DOV to complete the process?
In most universities, no. But then if your university require that, then that's particularly different. Some universities, they will accept you uploading the same documents because they know they know that for you to request for the DOV, you need the pre-enrollment summary in most universities, in most embassies, and in most countries. So most do allow. What you should do now is to check that of the admission letter that you got, what is stated particularly you should use for the pre-enrollment, because that's the important thing, what the university is going to say. If they ask you to use legalized documents for the pre-enrollment, then obviously there's nothing you can do. You have to do that. If they didn't state that, then you can go ahead and, go ahead and use the documents that you normally use for the admission to pre-enroll on University Italy. Even if they did ask for legalized documents, try emailing them, let them know your situation in Nigeria and how you need their pre-enrollment summary to get the legalization. I'm sure they will understand. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Then let's see. I think, yeah.
Sorry, I
Nelly's
wanted
hand
to
is
ask
the last
about
hand
the
that we have.
WhatsApp group. Sorry, I wanted to ask about the WhatsApp group. How do I join?
What WhatsApp group? We do not have a WhatsApp group.
Do you have a WhatsApp group? Sorry.
Nope, no, we don't. It's only a Telegram group that I have for students, but then we do not have WhatsApp group.
Okay, so how do I join the Telegram group?
You can find it directly. You should find it directly on my channel. I'm going to pin it later on the channel so that you can directly join the Telegram group.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're most welcome. Okay, so we have 2 minutes and then we'll wrap up. So we are trying to answer the questions in the chat. Mildred, have you been able to answer a number of them? Because I've also answered some of the questions. Okay, Autrey and then that of Ezra, if you can also help in answering some of the questions in the chat so that we can also finish answering all of them before wrapping up in 2 minutes, basically. But then if anyone else has a question, you can come on board and ask while we wrap up with answering the questions in the chat.
I saw a question in the chat about applying. The person is in their final year of the bachelor's and they want to apply for 2027 intake. So if you are not going to come in this year, you have to wait until October to start when the application for 2027 intake opens. But if you're going to finish your studies this year, and you intend to come and study before, let's say you graduate before August, then you can apply using your current transcript and state that you are not yet done with your studies, but you will be done because your original copies of transcript and certification will be required for enrollment. So if you are planning to apply for this year, then you can go ahead before the admission for international students close. But if you're planning to apply for next academic year, not this academic year, then wait until the call for October opens for 2027. So end of the year, then you can apply. But if you want to come this year, apply now.
Thank you, Mildred. Okay, so we'll be wrapping up. For those that weren't able to answer your question, you can send it to our email and then we'll be glad to answer the questions. I saw a particular question which is very, very important that we've not addressed. So I'm just going to answer that particular question. But let's see. This question is from Susanna. She's asking, for University Italy pre-enrollment, can I pre-enroll for more than one universities or just one? This is something that actually confuses students Pre-enrollment is not that of an admission. It's not an admission. It's completely different. What does pre-enrollment means? You've already gotten an offer from the university. The universities understand that you apply to several universities. So pre-enrollment is indicating to one of the universities that you've got the admission from that it is you that I want to make the organization that will be hosting me in Italy. And then there's also alerting that of the Italian embassy in your home country that this is the university that you'll be going to study in Italy. This is the two things that pre-enrollment does. It is basically accepting the offer that the university has given to you. So you cannot pre-enroll to more than 3 universities or more than 1 university because you cannot have different host organizations. You cannot be coming to Italy and go and study at the University of Siena, the University of Bologna, and the University of Firenze. It doesn't work that way. So you can pre-enroll to only 1 university. So if you have more than 1 offers, you have to sit down, just like I mentioned at the beginning, look at your goals, the city, the opportunities there, the program and everything, and choose 1 university and pre-enroll there. Also, your other question was, can I wait till I've received an admission from a university before I can pre-enroll? That is actually the requirement. If you've not gotten an admission, you cannot pre-enroll to the university, basically because it is you accepting the offer that they've already given to you. Unless some universities that have a different system where they require you to do pre-enrollment directly. An example, those who are going to study nursing, once you apply for that of the admission and once you apply for the test or you register for the test, you go and pre-enroll on University Italy. Then, except with the exception of Unicamelos, for other programs as well, some particular universities in the south, they're going to ask you, you don't have to apply directly to them for admission. You directly have to go on to University Italy and pre-enroll, and then they are going to validate it, and then that is going to serve as your admission basically. So you right from there you go on and request for that of the DOV and request for your visa. So depending on the university that you're going to. So we highly encourage you to check the guidelines that the university that you want to apply to is given. Do they want you to apply directly on their portal for admission before pre-enrolling, or they want you to go directly to University Italy and go and pre-enroll? That's very important because if you don't check that and then you go and pre-enroll to a university that has not given you admission, and then now you get admission from somewhere else, it will be very chaotic. You have to now email the university to cancel your pre-enrollment before you can pre-enroll to your university of interest. So yes, so that is it. We're going to wrap up this session. If you have questions, you still have other questions that you want them to be answered, you can basically send us an email at the email to info@admiraleduconsult.com, and then we will be so glad to answer your questions basically. So let me put it here, info@admiraleduconsult.com basically. Yes. So can we have your final words, Mildred, Ezra, Emmanuel, and then we are basically going to wrap up today's session.
Did you send the right email address? I think you sent the wrong one. info.admiraleduconsult. Not
No,
info at.
Wait. I'm pinning it again.
info.admiraleduconsult@gmail.com.
No. I've sent it again. So our direct email is info@admiraleduconsult.com. Okay, so you can send that all of your questions there, and then we're going to receive it in our mailbox, basically. So yeah, can we have your final words, Mildred, Ezra? You can check out that of our website as well, admiraleduconsult.com. Mildred, can we have your final word?
Thank you so much for your time. We wish you all the best, and we look forward to either welcoming you or working with you. For those that want to work with us, yeah, you are welcome. We're ready to save you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ezra.
We really appreciate for your attendance to our webinar. I hope it really helped you to gain some insights, and it has managed to answer all your inquiries that you were looking at.